In this video, we are going to learn adding fractions. When we add fractions, we must have a common denominator. So I'm going to write that down. We must have a common denominator. Once we have a common denominator, we will start to add. And we only add our numerators and our wholes. Numerator and whole numbers. And 3, our denominator stays the same. Okay. Oops. Stays the same. All right. So in example 1, we already have a common denominator of 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our numerators. We have 5 plus 3, which is 8. And we're going to keep our denominator the same. It's important that we always make our fractions in simplest form. We need a number that goes into both 8 and into 12. And I know that 4 goes into both of these numbers. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3, making our final answer 2/3. In this next example, we have 9 and 6 as denominators. We want to make a common denominator between 9 and 6. So I always like to kind of rewrite my fraction. And I know that the denominator, our new denominator, is going to be 18. So I'm going to write that in. For each one, we're going to find out how many times the old denominator goes into the new denominator. You can think of this as either multiplication or division. I like to think of it as multiplication. 6 times what number gives me 18? Or 18 divided by 6 is 3. 6 times 3 is 18, so 5 times 3 is 15. On the other side, we have 9 times blank gives me 18, or 18 divided by 9 is 2. 9 times 2 is 18, so 2 times 2 is 4. We just created new fractions that have a common denominator, and our numerators are now able to be added. 15 plus 4 is 19 over our common denominator of 18. Now, since this is improper, we're going to make this a mixed number. 18 goes into 19 one full time, with 1 remaining, out of our denominator stays the same. In example 5, we have 12 and 8. 12 and 8, we need a common denominator. So I'm going to make my new fractions. And I always like to look at the multiples of the bigger number. So the multiples of 12 are 12, 24, 36, 48, ... And I always start with the smallest one and see if the other number goes into them. Does 8 go into 12? No. Does 8 go into 24? Yes. So that is going to be our new denominator. 12 times 2 gives me 24. So 2 times 2 is 4. 8 times 3 gives me 24. So 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 4 is 19 over our common denominator, which is 24. Since 19 is prime, I know that nothing can go into 19 besides 19 and 1, and 19 can't go into 24. So I know that that fraction is in simplest form. Now let's do one with mixed numbers. So for this question, we're going to do 11, and we do not have common denominators. We have a 4 and a 3. So our common denominator is going to be 12. Now we can't forget our wholes, so I'm going to write down our wholes still. We have 17 and we have 13. 4 times 3 gives me 12, so 3 times 3 gives me 9. And on this side, we have 3 times 4 gives me 12, so 1 times 4 gives me 4. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our wholes. We have 17 and 13, which is 30. Then we're going to add our numerators. And our numerators are 9 and 4. And 9 and 4 is 13. And our denominator stays the same, which is 12. Now this is kind of funny because we have an improper fraction in a mixed number. So we can't leave it like that. We have to make our improper fraction, we have to convert 13 twelfths, and that's 1 and 1 12th. 12 goes into 13 one full time with 1 left over, remainder, common denominator of 12. And we can't forget this 30. So we're going to make our new whole 31 and 1 12th. In this last question, we are going to do 19. A recipe calls for 1 2/7 cups of chopped tomatoes and 1 6/7 cups of diced tomatoes. In total, how many cups of tomatoes did the recipe call for? So in general, we have chopped tomatoes and we have diced tomatoes, and that's going to give us the total tomato amount. So for chopped tomatoes, we have 1 2/7 cup, and for diced tomatoes, we have 1 6/7 cup. Since we already have common denominators, I'm going to go ahead and start adding. We have our wholes, which is 1 and 1, which is 2. We have 2 and 6, which is 8 over 7 cup. We can't keep 8 over 7 as 8 over 7. We're going to make this 1, 7 goes into 8 one full time, with 1 left over out of 7. And we can't forget our whole, and then we're going to add them up. 3 and 1/7 of a cup of tomatoes in total.